for PPV, but this is free and this is real TV. Grab your cup, pour that drink, roll that blunt, and tell us what you think. Commas come pouring in, women be exposing, man. Fellas start to open up, shorties feeling down to fuck. It's a safe place, spill that tea. That cup is hot, don't let it fall on me. And the stage, you keep it funky, might speak for she think. Vibe from the BX, don't even try stink. Eva keep us humble, she consider your feels. And Tati got 3 kids, you better pay them bills. Time is money, make sure your clock is right. Sliding in DMs, you make sure your stock is tight. Ladies, they gonna tell you if you ain't rocking right. I'm telling you, dude, don't end up on top of tonight. It ain't all jokes, get serious too. If I can help what happened to me, not happen to you, it makes it worth it. Let's get drunk on purpose. Start telling stories we would never tell in person. It's real TV.
Hey, hey, hey.
Hello.
How are you?
I am good. Happy Saturday.
Right. Happy Saturday. That's for sure.
Yes.
Welcome everybody. Welcome to watching TV. Starting off fresh this Saturday. I'm a little bit tired. Just got up from a nap. Anna's not here with us today. Our never average, always sad. Wait, never. What? Never average, always savage Anna, right? Yes, yeah. I said it right. Okay. Our third part of the trio isn't with us today. She is under the weather. Feel better, honey. I love you. Love you. Yes. Love you. But you are here with Forever Logically by Livy Mac, and of course,
Eva the Diva.
So we've got a fun topic to talk about tonight. I think it's an interesting one.
Interesting for sure.
I mean, it's definitely an interesting one. I think that it's something that's worth talking about. So we've named this show, the topic, I guess, DNA Boozled. DNA Boozled. And I asked a few people what they thought that meant, and I think a lot of people assumed immediately it was it had to do with people lying about whether or not the kid is theirs or not. Relationship.
Oh, okay.
Which yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. But the twist is that isn't even the case. So I saw I guess a post where it said a couple was married for 10 years, 3 kids, and find out that they are cousins.
That's crazy.
So the big question is, would you stay in that marriage if you found out that you was related to your husband? What do you think, Eva?
That's hard.
It's a hard situation because you don't never. It's tough to even think about. Right.
You know, it's definitely not your fault. You never knew. I mean, would I be able to stay? Honestly, I don't even know how I would react.
I don't know either. Like I can see both ways. Like I'm already married to you. We're already gone through this. What's the deed is done. We got 3 kids, 10 years plus in, right? But at the same time, can I see you the same?
Yeah. I think that's the biggest part too, because now you're looking at this man who you were probably deeply in love with.
I mean, after 10 years, I wouldn't say deeply.
No, I mean, but at one point.
Right.
That's
right.
You ended up getting
You got married, right?
Okay, so my thing is, how did nobody know at the wedding?
What if Daddy was a Rolling Stone? I mean, you don't know.
That could be the case.
There's secret kids somewhere, and secret cousins and come out, and families and things that like the DNA tree starts to spread out at that point.
In a very close range still. Um, it's something that I mean, I'm bamboozled on that one because I really don't know, like you said, how I would react. I see both sides.
Yeah.
You met somebody, you fell in love with this person, married this person, saw your future, your whole life with this person, which I guess was always meant to be a person in your life, but just not in that way. But it wasn't their fault. I mean, or it wouldn't be our fault if I was in that situation, right? The thing is,
Right.
I don't really think I could probably see them like that.
It's
gonna mess with my mental state, like that is for sure.
I spoke to my homegirl not too long ago about this topic, and she's like, nah. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, she goes, she said, I'm trying to remember the word she said, but she was like, I'm petty. Girl, I would never see that again. If you got like missing, she's superficial. No, that's not the word she used, but she like, I can't fuck with you, got missing teeth. I can't fuck with you if you look a certain way. Like, and if I know that now we're related, it's over. It's over. Like, it's just, and I'm like, but 3 kids later?
I mean, how do you explain that to the kids too?
I mean, if you didn't know, you didn't know. I think that's a fair explanation.
Yeah.
But I mean, you would have to explain to the kids because you want to be careful not for it to repeat itself. Because then, what if they find a cousin of a cousin or a sibling of a sibling? It just continues, and then we have a lot of genetic issues.
Yeah. I mean, God, I can't. There's just like no real way, I guess, I would be able to say how I'd react unless I was in the moment, because like I'm thinking logically, I can see both sides. I understand. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I don't know. That's
like, I don't know if I could actually get sexually aroused by you now. Like, I don't know if I can actually.
I'm telling you, everything will shut down.
It'll take a whole lot of therapy.
The whole family needs to be in therapy for the next 30 years of their lives, I'm pretty sure. I mean, that's a lot for everybody. For them individually, as a couple together, as a family, it affects everybody.
Facts. It really does. I saw another story. It was another a post where at the baby shower, young ladies at her own baby shower, okay, pregnant with her hubby or boyfriend or whatever, and her father says that he needs to talk to her, and finds out that her boyfriend is actually her brother, because he and homeboy didn't know who his father was, but the father knew he had this kid that he never was there for.
And at no point did he ever meet the guy?
He's meeting her at the baby shower. I'm sure he was like an absent father for both of them, but maybe more than non-existent for the other. And the only reason I believe he knows, he figured it out, is because of what he looked like and who the guy's mother was. It was like, holy shit. It's crazy.
I think that is wrong. And here's the thing. And if I was to be like in a relationship with a person who has kids, or who has, had kids somewhere, or thinks potentially they could be somewhere out there, mm-hmm. I would like for that person to try and connect with them, or have established a relationship, because that's not just a one person thing now, especially if we're going to be getting married and having like a family or something like that. Like, because I believe my kids at that point, if we were to have kids, they would need to know who their siblings are too, who they're related to, because this could definitely happen. And a lot of, and I'm not just saying just guys, but a lot of guys that leave kids out there, don't tend to be responsible or take accountability for it, and then certain things like these happen. You know, and it's unfortunate.
But they can avoid it. That's if you just do your part as a man. Like, men are easy to say, oh, I see those posts now. They're really trying to, women haters, and like women are the worst parents because they don't know how to raise men. But where are you if that's the case? I mean, if you feel that way, then where are you? I'm just flabbergasted about that.
No, that is a fact, because I can see why they say it, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, that's why you were intended to be there.
Mm-hmm.
But you chose not to.
Yeah.
So now question yourself, why? Where did you lack? Because it's a two thing. If parenting was just a single person thing, we could just do it on our own. We wouldn't need anybody.
It takes a village.
You know what I mean? So it's one of those things that you have to all come together and know who is there, because you can definitely, in situations like that, maybe dating wise or whatever, kind of see if, they have 1 or 2, 3, 4 or 5 kids around there. You know what I mean? Like, that also would put into perspective as you going into a relationship with this person too. Because if I knew this guy had like 5 kids by one person or by 5 different baby mamas, and he supports them all, and he's there, and he says, fuck it all, I'm going to be a dad, then you know what? Hey, you're doing what you're doing.
Right.
But if you're the type of person that's going to tell me like, oh yeah, like, nah, I don't even, talk to them or whatever.
That's that. I would not be with that person.
No.
I wouldn't. I can't respect you as a man.
No.
It just, if you fathering them, you should be there to take care of them.
Mm-hmm. And
I think women who accept deadbeat fathers in relationships are just as bad. I'm sorry,
bro. And you know sad. What? That's part of the thing of, and I know we've talked about it before, but it's like one of those things as that healing journey, thing that leads up to where, and we were just talking about it with Tati too. Like, I feel like I'm at a point where I know what I want. And if you're just not bringing it, it's just not happening.
Right.
It's just at this point, it's like, I'm not settling. I'm not, I'm not looking. And again, I'm a single parent. So it's like, or, I'm a parent, a divorced parent or whatever. But if the guy was to be a divorced parent too, a father and all that stuff, that doesn't matter to me. It's how you deal with it. Because that also reflects on how you're going to deal about it with me.
Yeah, exactly. To me, that really determines a man's character. One thing of the man's character. And if you can really have a child out there, I don't care what relationship you had with the female, she's this and she's that, and she just doesn't. Mm-hmm. She makes it difficult for you. You do heaven and hell. You got to go through to get to where you need to be.
That part. And it's one thing which I know you're you and pretty much everybody here now are familiar with my life, right? But one of those things that even when my kids are away, I still find a way to have a relationship with them. I still have a way to connect with them on a daily basis. I still have a way to be there, in their life and support them, and vice versa when they're over here. It's it's always going to be that type of thing, but it's one of those things that's just the type of parenting that we like want.
Right.
So it's like the access is there just because it was established, but it wasn't easy, but it takes time and it takes effort. But a lot of times, and I've seen it, obviously in personal circles, where that's the excuse. But you have full access, you have full ways to your children. You just choose not to be there or find excuses to not be. Because that's really what it is. Especially now, you can FaceTime all you want.
I wouldn't want to FaceTime father, but I get what you're saying.
But it's an easy way when you're not able to be there,
Right.
There is nothing stopping you.
Let's talk a little bit about the ones that are unknowingly committing incest. We watched a documentary for this episode. We decided to all watch this documentary. It's called Our Father on Netflix. where a fertility doctor back in the 70s and 60s, I believe, was well renowned in the Indianapolis area of his expertise in fertility, getting women to have children and being able to make it work. Using sperm donors, having people do insemination and things of that nature, right?
When it was new, right?
Right. So it was very new in the world. So I suppose I very much wanted a child. Unfortunately, it wasn't working out. And my husband and I said, I want his sperm to be able, it's just not, they're not connecting. So let's make this work. And they go with the sperm to this doctor, and he's fertilizing the egg with the sperm and making sure that they have a baby. Taking their money and doing all of this. And some people had to do it several times. Some people had to do it a couple times or so.
Yeah.
Because it didn't take all the time. But homeboy was using his own sperm.
Now, mind you, this is in a small town. This is in a small town where everybody knows everybody too. Okay. And I come from it's a small town, but it's like, I don't know how to explain where I come from, but anybody that knows where I grew up from, it's like the same thing. Everybody knows everybody. You all went to the same high school. You know what I mean? Like it's just that environment is always connected. These people grew up with each other. These people.
It was crazy to me. So when it started coming out, when they started investigating, was one of them, I guess, did a DNA chart, and she was linked to like 5 other people.
At one time.
I have half siblings. Okay, cool.
But they were only supposed to be able to up to 3, right?
Yeah. So the story is they only use a sample from a specific donor only 3 times. But when she sees 5 or 6, she's like, definitely didn't use it 3 times. He's out there, right? And then the story is that he would only use, if it's an anonymous sperm donor, he would use grad students from a medical school that was like across the street from his clinic. For those who didn't have their own sperm to use, right? And then I think I'm not entirely mad about the
his reasoning?
No, hold on. Oh. The anonymous sperm donor concept thing, I'm not mad at that, because technically you got what you needed, and how you got it, whatever it was. However, my biggest issue was the ones who were married using their husband's sperm and coming with fresh sample and you deciding not to use that and then inseminate them with your own instead of their husband. That was outrageous to me. And he did in both scenarios, in several scenarios. And then he tells them, well, there's no more than 10 times. I've only did it 10 times. Then he says, it's no more than 15 times. I've only done it 15 times. I only did it in times that it was absolutely necessary. And by the end of the documentary, there are 94 siblings under this one man. 94. And that's just the ones who has really checked their DNA.
Yes.
Because it really continuously, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And okay, so it kind of also wraps back up to last week's episode. How we were talking about, or not last week, but the week before that, how we were talking about modern and versus old school.
Traditional.
Or traditional, right? Which that was the concept too. Sex was kind of used, to procreate and whatnot. And so here come these people that, are having that difficulty, having so much hope put into this person to give them that joy. The whole anonymous thing, I get it, because it really shouldn't matter. But my thing is, if you knew that you could only use it up to many amount of times of your own in one area, You could have done the same thing maybe somewhere else. Why in the same area?
No, I could not believe that. That means you got to be careful with everyone you speak to make sure that they're not related to you.
Yeah.
Everyone you deal with, if you get married, do a DNA test beforehand.
Yeah. That's not what we're
Hey, before we have sex, you know, it's not about getting tested anymore. It's let's run a DNA test and make sure we're not related.
Have you checked your tree? Let's compare. I mean, it's crazy to hear this, but it happens. It happens, and it's so sad because like I feel bad because one of the ladies was even saying how once she found out, she remembered the instance when she would go into the clinic and he would go and she would hear him.
I didn't catch that part.
But she didn't connect the two.
I definitely didn't catch that part.
It was in between the part where they were talking about going across the street to the other hospital and getting the grad meds and whatever. There was one of the moms, and she was saying how like, yeah, she's like, I remember him telling me like, just wait here. He would step out. She would hear noises, but he would say that he was gonna go collect the specimen because it has to be at a certain temperature.
Right.
So she heard everything, but she didn't know that it was him.
Yeah. No, there was another one that, oh God, that grossed me out was his own friend that he used his own specimen on. And for her adult daughter in her 40s, finding out that she wasn't her father's kid when it was supposed to be her father's sperm used. And he was actually her doctor as well, a GYN, and checking her cooch, like, and he's biologically her father. And he knew. There's no way he didn't know.
I think it was that her mom? I don't know if it was her mom. It was one of them. It was around that area. But yeah, that's crazy. Like, and I know, you know, it's I'm in the, you know, the field, whatnot, but I've just never been comfortable having a male doctor, period. Okay, everybody's different, but I just never felt comfortable. So I always go for a woman. Or even when I was pregnant, you know.
I actually like homosexual doctors.
I haven't come across them. But I would stay away from the guys just because of me. Just me, right? But now with this, like, yeah, no, like, no, you don't do that.
I think it was more about her because her mom had this long-standing relationship. He was also a friend of the family. It was just a level of comfort there.
But he knew he had inseminated her with his sperm.
But she didn't know,
But he knew. So now he
didn't know. He's a sick dick. That's what it is.
In there and
I know it's disgusting.
No. Just no. That's what? No.
I know.
I'm telling you, this thing had me like, I was watching it and I was like, the whole time, I'm like, bro.
I know.
I would feel all types of way, especially finding out that was my father.
It does, and it doesn't even end there. So apparently homeboy was also, because another thing that with sperm donor clinics, you have to fill out a questionnaire, you have to put like medical history, you have to be able to show that you are a viable
good candidate
option for donation, right? From the statistic that I heard, he said like 70% of people who donate, they can't use. Right. This man would never have qualified based on his own medical situations that he claimed he was fine with, that a lot of his kids all have the same diseases and autoimmune thing and issues with their health. And he just made a bunch of people sick on purpose.
On purpose. Like, and now you have this, and it's just, it keeps growing. Like, are you serious? Like, I don't get it. This one, I don't get.
Yeah.
That's just plain evil for me.
Yeah, it is.
Because you're messing with people's family, emotions, mental health, mental state, first of all, because wow. I mean,
yeah.
You know?
But it's important for them to know also, because especially with where they live and how close I believe it was all within a 20-mile radius.
I wish this
majority of them, I would move, I would leave, I would a majority of the people live. There was one woman who actually was, their kids was friends, her daughter's soccer coach's wife. Like, they would be at the soccer game sitting right next to each other, talking to each other, grew up together, known each other for years, and she was actually half sisters with her.
That's crazy. But a lot of them have the same resemblance too. Like, they have like that light eyes, the blonde hair, you know, they have like the same characteristics.
I mean, the thing is that, I mean, that's a common thing for a lot of white people.
But I mean, they did have similar features though. Like,
yeah. Some of them had really similar features.
It's do you think if you were to have been in that like situation, do you think you would have probably picked it up from somebody?
What do you mean?
Like, that somebody was like, you would probably guess they were related to you? Like, oh my God, we're so similar, or like, you know what I mean? Like, pick up on certain little things.
Would you be able to? Oh, that's a good question. I mean, it's a really good question. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I think most Spanish people are like distant cousins anyway.
Anyways, everybody's a cousin.
So someone's related somewhere. Yeah. I don't know. That's hard to.
But remember, these aren't like your cousins. These are going to be like your siblings.
Siblings, right? That's why it's. I don't know. I don't know if I'd be able to tell.
Like, do you think there's like some sort of connection somewhere where they can just kind of like feel?
That's funny that you say that. So I read an article preparing for this, right? And I heard there was a woman and her talking about how she married her half brother, but didn't know they were half brothers and sister until much time later, after they were married and with children. So apparently, thinking back, she had got a DNA thing for Christmas, actually. And it was a gift for Christmas to check. They thought it would be fun, and finds out her husband is her half brother. And she's just thinking back. She goes, thinking back to when we first met, it was like we were so much alike. We felt like we fell in love with each other very quickly. We were together for only 2 months before we decided to get married. And like, they had very similar interests, very similar in a lot of things.
But that's kind of, and that's the crazy part, because that's kind of what you look for in a person for a relationship.
Yeah. Do you end it because of that though?
Okay. So hold on. I know it's half brothers and sisters, right? Yeah. But on what side?
I'm assuming the father side.
I mean, we can't assume, but I'm just saying.
I don't think it did. It didn't specify. Let me see if I can find the article again. But I'm assuming. All right, hold on. 23andMe informed me my husband and I are related. Here, let's see. Oh, they weren't brother and sister. They were third cousins. Sorry, I misspoke.
Oh, I mean, you're still related.
You're still related. But they had been together for 30 years already by this point. 38 years of marriage.
And what do they do next? Like, I mean, 30 plus years, third cousin. I mean, y'all weren't really that close.
Bro, she said, "You're my cousin husband."
Cousins. I mean, but if you didn't, I'm just kidding.
No, she said, "You're my cousin husband, better than sister wife."
I mean,
what? I don't understand.
Again, they didn't know 30 some plus years. It's a passable for me, I guess. I mean, third cousins. It's again from the mom side or the.
I don't know. It doesn't specify here, honestly. I'm trying to skim through. And I read this article earlier in the week, which is why my exact verbiage wasn't always on point. But it doesn't specify on what side. But does it really matter?
I mean, think about it. So think about it this way. If it was like with the mom.
Oh, their child is autistic.
See?
I think that's what this ends up leading to. You don't really have.
Wow. I mean, again, they didn't know. You know? And it's hard because then this happens, right? And it's one of those things where we feel maybe when you find out, you're gonna feel maybe guilty in a sense, or you know what I mean? Like there's a lot that comes with that. And I don't know. I mean, how do you?
My thing is that
30 some years, I'm telling you,
with children involved, it changes the conversation. Obviously, with children involved, it changes the conversation. It's a lot more tied in. The history behind it, the relationship itself, everything, it makes it very complicated. However, something also changes in you once you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and in any relationship, if you just feel like they cheated already, or, you know, you talk about it and you give them another chance, like it's still within you, even though you talked about it, you know, so it's one of those things that you can't kind of look past it again until you do. But it's kind of one of those things that with this one is you can't go back. Like there's
third, fourth, fifth, third time removed cousins. Maybe that's more acceptable than first cousins and siblings.
And the reason why I was asking, because I'm like, would it matter more?
Sibling, I don't think I could do.
If
hell fucking no.
You come from the same mom or the same dad.
But the thing is, I don't see that happening if you came from the same mom. There's no way you don't know.
Insemination.
No, but if you come from the same mom, your mom knows how many kids she gave out, right?
Yeah.
So how do you not know that you got several kids out there? There's no way that the not knowing part comes from the mom.
What if, because here comes the other thing.
Unless they were switched at birth.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that doesn't happen as often. That's a difference. That's a different type of conversation. You know, that's
but at
more.
the same time, it's one of those things where your kid is out there and you didn't know. Or what if you had twins and they tell you one of them died or whatever, and you know what I mean? Like it's
and they like stole my baby. But that's a different conversation, right? One. Well, I don't know if was that an agreement between the parents, or did one think that one I'm trying to remember how that movie went.
I think they had an agreement.
That's stupid.
They had an agreement. I want to say that's how it went. If not, I don't know. I'm sorry. But I mean,
selfish as fuck. I mean, I don't think it's possible. Not that it's impossible, but you won't see that not know from the mom side. There's no way. Not that there's no way. There's extenuating circumstances that'll make that happen. But it's more common from a man not knowing, because he could be shooting up the club everywhere he stops, right? And not knowing if anything fertilizes and disappears. If Papa's a Rolling Stone, he out there. I mean, this fertilization guy's having almost 100 kids, and that's just the ones that they know of.
That they know, yeah.
Oy. So there was a part of the documentary where they're talking about like the whys behind it, and there's like this religious
thickness,
religious sect, cult, whatever the hell, that it's to populate the white race. And I'm like, oh my God. And it was like, oh, he's so fucking disgusting. It was really, really, really sick. It's really sick.
It really is. It really is. And how calm he was trying to explain it to them on the why.
Mm-hmm.
And making it make sense for them. Like how?
I don't think he did explain the why. I don't think they ever got the why. In his mind, he doesn't think he did anything wrong.
Well, no, I mean, he's not going to change that. He's not going to change that. And I mean, this is back in the 60s, 70s, and then it went up to like, what, the 80s too? Because one of the ladies, she said she worked with him for like, 20 some years.
Yeah.
And she didn't even know this was happening. She literally would go get the specimen across the street and it would still get swapped out. And then that's the crazy part. You don't know because you are doing everything the right steps.
I don't know if I believe the nurse and the guy he worked with.
You think so?
I don't know if I believe him. How do you not know?
Girl.
Why are you not present in the room with the doctor? You telling me you never noticed him switch a sample? You never noticed him not use a sample? Where do the old samples go? I
mean, what if I'm trying to put this in my head. What if he okay, so when you have your
Daniela Gray says, what about sperm donors? Is that a hoax? I don't think sperm donors are a hoax if done correctly, but in Our Father, that was a hoax. They weren't sperm donors. They were just a doctor giving his shit.
He was the donor.
Yeah. Over 100 times. I don't know how someone is sane enough to think that's okay. That's a problem, because do you know the problems you cause going forward? Like, just to live life, everyone is a possibility. Who has blonde hair, blue eyes could be your sibling.
Right.
No.
But again, it goes back to also when this took time. Then definitely that is what they wanted. I mean, they did it, but just still not in the right way. I just can't. I mean, I get it.
So the sad part of the documentary was very much the fact that there's no laws against it.
That's the crazy part.
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying. There should be some law where you can only use it 3 times in a certain state, or you know what I mean? Some type of spread space in between the children to work great if in life they have to, find each other once, be in each other's life. That's on them, but not running a risk where they're next door neighbors with their own brother, not even knowing.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
And here's the crazy part too.
Sperm donating is a hoax? I'm wondering, now that Daniel says that, I'm wondering if there are more hoax out there, because apparently they uncovered other doctors doing the same thing.
Right.
He was just the most egregious case.
Again, it's messing with families. I don't. No. it's not okay in so many ways. And it's like, how did this person, so here's another kicker. This guy was married.
Mm-hmm.
His wife never knew until she had to find out because they arrested him. That's how she found out. 30-some plus years later.
Yeah. Because all of these kids were adults in their 30s, 40s.
Yeah.
Realizing this was happening. This
How do you do
happened,
this for
I should say.
that long?
If I, in the 70s, let's say I'm looking for a baby and he's the only person who's the expert in his field, and I come to you for help, and I never gave you permission to give me your shit. Like, that's crazy.
Okay. Should it be an option?
What do you mean?
I'm literally speaking. Like, what if it was like, if we don't find one, I'm here to substitute?
I mean, if you gave me the option, I would probably tell you no, but you gave it, at least I'm getting the option. Not doing it and not telling me.
Okay,
it's
so
disgusting.
they gave you the option. You said no. Are you still proceeding in the same clinic?
Oh, no. Why is that even an option?
I mean,
I didn't come here for you.
Right now, but before knowing all of this, do you think you would have just like maybe said like, okay, like thanks for the option, no, but I still want this, and that's what I'm coming for. So let's do this, doc.
But there's no way for you to know. You go to a sperm donor clinic, right? I don't know how it really works, but they say they said they usually have like, okay, this is the specimen, like
the features of the father, right? Like they'll have like,
you get features
blue
you can pick from,
blonde hair, freckles, and whatnot.
Yeah, I believe that's how it works. It's like a little magazine and who I want to pick from kind of thing. Let's make it look like that, you know?
I think that I don't know if it has a picture, but I think from shows, that's what I've seen. That's how they do it, right? It's just kind of like, oh, look, this one looks
like
good.
A Rolodex.
Yeah. Just roll them and just pick one, right? But even then, what if you go and you pick the one you pick and the kid does not look like that?
That'll cause me to want to stab somebody for real. If I paid for this is I paid for, and you didn't give me the right. Nah, bro. I mean, I'm still gonna be happy for my kid, right? Because I got a kid out of it. That's what I wanted, right? But not exactly what I wanted.
I mean, here's the other thing too, right? What if, and I think, I'm not too sure if this has happened, if like the eggs have maybe been placed in the different person.
No, that has happened. So people will freeze their eggs and come back, and there's been mix-ups. I've read something about that a long time ago. There's been mix-ups where they get the wrong eggs back when they're ready to do the kid thing. So
that's why.
That's also another level. I mean, I think that it's more complicated when it comes to eggs and what it's harbored in rather than the seed itself.
Right.
And what it comes with. Yeah.
That's unfair. Like all of
then you have three people's DNA in that sense. Because now it's a fertilized egg in another person's body. That's three different DNAs that they all have contribution in making the child, I guess.
Okay, but no, so that would also be kind of like surrogacy.
Right, but still, that's a 3-person DNA also in surrogacy.
Is it?
Fertilized egg gets placed into the surrogate. She's the one carrying in her body, her blood. Everything is done in her. She's the oven. it's still her with someone else's egg and seed.
But I don't think it
we got
has
a
like
comment.
a DNA effect. It's just more of a.
But half the genes come from the mom, so you can't expect it to come out like said father. Yeah, you're right. Half the genes do come from the mom, half and half. But if some people have majority look visually, could be more mom's side, more father's side, depending on whose genes is stronger. But if I invest in a Brad Pitt lookalike, and you gave me a Danny DeVito, I'd be upset.
You're awful.
That's so
Danny DeVito, really?
I couldn't think of anything else because I'm trying to like think of like the most far between, but I love you, Danny DeVito, but you know what I mean.
But no, it's one of those things. It's kind of like, yeah. I mean, you're going into, and yes, it's part of you, right? That's where you share your DNA. But you went for these specific characteristics or looks or physical of the person so that you can share that with your child. Now, like now let's say like, you know, like you said, if I go for, let's say somebody like Denzel Washington, I'm over here like, right? So, maybe, but
let him sound like him too, please. Give me the same voice. I wish we could control that.
But the thing is, I'm getting, let's say, a Brad Pitt look like. Something went wrong.
Oh, if I want my baby to be black and you gave me a white sperm, I'm gonna be tight.
Like,
that's not what I asked for. What the? I would sue it. No, like, come on. Nah.
Yeah, no. That's
I don't know. My biggest thing is, especially from that documentary, the ones who came with their own fucking sample, their own husband's sperm, their own, and then you tell them if you get it done, it's like that's a violation. Tries. Yeah.
And you're really hopeful, and you finally got one. Like that changes everything to in a marriage, right? Like, yes, like we finally did it. Like, yes. 30 years later.
And it's not your baby. That's fucked up.
They should have a Maury back then.
They should have a Maury back then. Ay, Dios. If Maury was back then, I'm not sure it would be as entertaining as it is today.
I mean,
people are more ratchet today than they were then.
But that, but at least they would have known.
You are not the father.
Sir, you are the father. You are the father. You are the father.
Like 95 times.
He could fill up his whole audience with the siblings.
Bro, I don't even know. First of all, it's sad. It's sad. I just don't understand how there are no laws protecting people from that, and why doctors think that was okay to do, and how you can't file charges. If I come to that, should be some form of libel lawsuit. Something should have happened there, and I'm really confused on why the legal case happened the way it did, because he definitely had connections with that judge. Homegirl said, "Oh, I'm not going to put you in jail because we're overcrowded." That was what the judge said. Due to overcrowding, we're not going to put you in jail. But here's a $500 fine. What?
$500.
Daniel the Great, you should watch the documentary Our Father on Netflix. That's what we're referring to.
Yes, it is ridiculous.
It is sad. It is sick.
Okay, so now let's move where they now find out. How do you think, you know, if you were in that situation now as an adult, would you reach out to the siblings?
Well, the girl was doing it for everyone who pops up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm doing an ancestry check to look to see who I'm related to, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason behind me checking. I know a lot of people decide to do it to see for like medical history or if they were adopted, or in their scenario, I think some of them knew they were sperm donor,
Mm-hmm.
right? Some of them didn't. So some of them didn't even think that they would belong to different sperm, thought they was their father's sperm. So it's kind of weird. Yeah, I think I would if I did that and then I find out, I would be blown if I saw 90 other siblings there, and I'm like, what, man? Yo, you got no dick discipline? You shooting up everywhere you go? Your black book is long, right? Come to find out it was a doctor taking advantage of people.
Yeah. I would definitely try and connect. Maybe it won't be as easy because I don't know how some people would take it, right? We're all going to take it differently. But I would at least try to have some sort of relationship.
Yeah.
With them. Whether if it's just kind of like a friendly type of thing, just, you know, keeping it cool type. But again, for the future's sake.
Right. Right, so because my kids needs to know their cousins and on that side and make sure that they're not getting into relationships with family with the half siblings, and it causes more problems as it trickles down the generational line.
Yeah.
With all of their kids could possibly be cousins to so many people that they don't even know about.
Latino's been doing that for a while.
No, it's dead ass. The question shouldn't be when's the last time you checked yourself. It'll be when's the last time you did an ancestry test?
Not even just that, but some people are also finding out their way of maybe even being adopted, I think, through the DNA test, through the, whatchamacallit. There was this one case, I think it was on Ellen, I believe. They were twins. And they were from like, I'm not 100% sure. I'm just going to say like somewhere in, you know, East Asia or Asia. And they were both in California. One was in San Francisco and one was like somewhere else. I don't remember. They found out they were twins. Their DNA matched.
So they weren't raised together. They were both adopted separately. And come to find out that they had a twin sister. Interesting. Okay. I mean, that's a little bit different. I mean, in those scenarios, I mean, that's one thing to guarantee that, you know, they're from another country, right? You adopt a kid from another country, you don't have those issues.
Right. But it comes with that too. It comes with that territory.
But I think adoption a little bit different because I mean your child should know they were adopted,
right?
At some point, not at early in, right? But at some point when they're old enough to understand, because they're gonna have questions of why they're different. There may not be similarities. There may not be,
and I think they both knew. They were adopted. You know, they just didn't know that they were somebody else out there for them. Like their twin. Half of themselves was somewhere out there. And
I don't even know how I would respond to that. I mean, they gained a sister, right?
I think that would be cool too. That's what I'm saying. Like, I would like to stay in connection. Anybody out there?
But to 95 people though, to 95. So one sister's good. You're lucky if you get 2 or 3, but 95 people, it changes the whole dynamic. It's way more than what I bargained for. I'm moving cross country.
I mean, look, just don't expect a Christmas gift from me.
Not 95 times. No.
One too many. No, I don't know if there's like an amount, I guess, that I would accept, because I would just want to know them all, or as many as I can, right? But I think it would have been different if it was like a twin. Like, hey, like, I missed my whole life without you. Like, the least they could have done was adopted us together.
Right. I mean, it really would depend. It's hard to get someone to take on one baby, let alone two.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of just how that is.
Do you think that's maybe what pushes to make that decision? And just kind of let them be like, you know what? They ain't taking both of them. Might as well just split them.
Yeah, I mean, coming from foreign adoption agencies, I'm sure that's the case.
What if it happens here too? I mean, I don't know if it happens here.
I think they try to keep siblings together, but they will also split them. It's literally unfortunately, I don't think that's something that they're required to keep them together.
Really?
Yeah. They try. I know that's something that happens, especially with like foster kids or in adoption agencies, things of that nature. They try to keep siblings together, but there's no requirement that they must.
I'll be mad. No, I'd be mad. Especially if I was like in a foster home where I'm like with my siblings, like.
I mean, yeah, you have no choice and you get tearing apart from your family, and I'd be mad at the system. I'd be mad at my biological parents. I'd be mad at the fucking world.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's a lot. And I think it's a lot. I mean, I don't think any of them, I mean, they all pretty much had their own ideas of this whole situation, but it's not something where, I don't know, like the other ones where they got married, right? Where it's, I know that right there, it would tear me down mentally. Finding out I have 94 brothers and sisters, definitely a shocker. But is it detrimental to my mental state? Maybe not.
I'm reading an article right now. There was another doctor in California, 27 kids. There are 38 doctors to date with 331 cases, mostly during the 70s and 80s. 331 cases with 38 doctors.
Well, 94 of them was just from this one doctor.
Yeah, he's the largest one. Yes.
That leaves the remaining balance.
Exactly.
I mean, and the thing is, I think in their head it's more of like, well, I'm doing no good.
I don't see how that's good. I don't know why. That's the craziest thing. How do you not see anything wrong with that?
There's everything wrong with that. I don't.
No, that he was sick in the head. He's a sick, religious zealot sycophant. I don't know how else to explain it. I don't know.
Mm-mm. And again, it's unfortunate because it does. Small town.
Yeah.
Small town. It was kind of like with some of them, I think it was like a word of mouth too. Like, oh, he did this for us, so maybe go ahead and try him and he can do this for you guys. So it's one of those things where now we both went to the same doctor and our kids are actually not friends. They're brother and sister. Yeah. Because that is what happened with one of them, I think.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I feel so bad. Like, this is, and here's the thing. It's because there is still no law. There is still no control. There is still, and I mean, do they have some way of controlling it?
There's no way to.
That's the thing. It's like, how can they? I mean, maybe they can, right, enforce a law on it, but it's more of how can you really know that they're not going to get away with it until they do, and then by then it's probably too late.
But they did get away with it. They get away with it for years, and now these people are in their 30s and 40s finding out because the popularity of these ancestry kits and 23andMe and DNA.com and all of this, and now people are like, wait a minute, what? And there's no law against it. The thing is, you went in there to get pregnant. That's what you wanted.
Right. And you got what you wanted, pretty much, is in conclusion.
That's what they're saying, but not the way I wanted it.
No.
So it's crazy to me.
I mean,
I don't know.
Okay. Have you ever thought of doing a test, a DNA test?
No.
Really? I kind of have.
Really? Why?
Not in the sense like, oh, I want to like know if I have brothers or sisters, but more of just like I don't know. I would just want to see what's out there.
I guess I would want. I mean, maybe to see like what parts of me outweighs the others in like nationality and stuff. I know.
Yes, I want to do that too.
Probably like I know that Indian is there. You know. I don't know. I probably want to see that, but do I care to? Probably not.
We should all do it. We should have actually done it for the show. No, we should do it.
Really? I don't know. I don't know if it's weird. Spanish people don't do that. We know we related. I mean, it's white people who want to know.
I mean,
am I wrong? Yeah, sip that tea. I know I made a point. I know.
On that note, I'm just gonna sip my tea.
We also had an article where the states with the highest incest, or not incest, because incest is hard to record since so many states supposedly it's illegal in. Mm-hmm. However, inbred families, highest state with inbred families, and I'm sorry, I'm not surprised, Arkansas. Then it's Mississippi, Alabama, Kentucky, West Virginia, Louisiana, South Carolina, Georgia, Texas, and then Florida. So it's mostly southeast region of the country. Inbred families. Yeah. So there are states who allow incest relationships, although not marriages. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then there's also the criminal code, which they don't really exercise. It could be a felony or a misdemeanor. You may spend time in jail and fines, but
or pay $500 and that's it.
Yeah, I think the problem, I mean, with the choice of committing incest is fucking sick, but the unknowing incest, which is why I'm thinking is why it's so relaxed. They don't know.
Circumstantial.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, when you do it on purpose too, that is something when you do it for a wrong reason too, obviously. So that is also something that, again, you're messing with somebody's life.
Yeah.
Somebody's whole life. Or I believe it was, and I think I told you guys about this. I think it was in Argentina where abortion law is also not something that is there. Like they cannot have abortions. Mm-hmm. This girl was raped by, I believe, her father or her brother, like one of them. It was somebody close to her circle. And they were actually enforcing her that she had to have her baby. And she was, I think, like 15, something like that.
Jesus Christ.
And it's like,
See,
how?
that's sad. It's sad.
It's really sick. It's sick that it's okay. Like, it's, oh well. No. No. There should definitely be more ways to try and I don't know if control would be a way, but prevent it.
Right. Illegalize. I mean, as far as abortion should be allowed to get one, and obviously that whoever did the father or the brother, whoever it was, should go to jail and fucking get his penis chopped off. But I think that I think what needs to change is there needs to be some laws in place on the people who cause this this particular situation, especially for you to. But then again, here's the thing. Okay, here's something I just thought of. So let's say I'm a guy, right? I go and donate my sperm to that clinic 10 times. I go donate my sperm to that clinic 10 times.
Because they
and
get
do it
paid
another
too, right?
10 times. Yeah. Who's to say that there isn't like 30 kids out there and they decided to use my junk in all those clinics? Do they have like a system that checks all of that? And what if they tell me, right? What if they tell me that this guy is a PhD, this guy is super smart, he's 6 feet, and then when you find out they knew that he wasn't that, and
like
you
he
have
lied
this
on his
kid.
resume.
Well, maybe not lying on his resume. What if the clinic lied about the specimen?
Oh, okay.
Just to make it sound more intriguing for someone to take.
Then they would try and blame their genetics on it. They were overruled by the other one.
Right. It's the woman's fault.
I don't
fucked
know.
Up.
I mean, and I think any way that you kind of look at it, it's all messed up.
It is.
Like, it's so unfortunate in that it's gonna continue happening.
Makes me not want to ever look into getting a sperm donor.
And
I mean,
technically, you could still have. I mean, these guys sometimes don't wrap it up and.
Oh, look, a
right?
sperm donor used a fake name to father more than 60 children. Parents get together to find out why all their kids look so similar. Parents from an LGBTQ community grew suspicious when they met at an event for new parents and noticed some of their children looked similar. They began calling the in vitro facility to investigate. The man whose identity was not revealed reportedly used 4 different aliases to donate sperm.
Like, what's the point of that? What's the point of
The HFEA also says that one person's donation can be used among a maximum of 10 families. There is no set limit to the number of children who can be born among each family, and donors can decide to lower their limit for donations to families.
Okay. Okay, now how does that come in?
So then you could still have 10. You can still have 10. I mean, if he did it 60 times, I mean.
No, because I'm saying, like, okay, so what if he says for 10 families, it's more. But if you only do it for 2, it's less. The guy's going to go for the more money's out there, right? This is why they're doing it.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
I don't know why people do it. I don't know.
Okay. Do you think that in instances where like this, should he be held accountable for like child support?
In some states, they do. This is how, our country is fucked up in certain things. Sperm donors can be held accountable in certain. I've read that somewhere. I gotta look it up. But hold on, let's research this before I speak to it. Right?
Does it change if it was like for a donation, or does it change if it was like for a family? You know what I mean? Like when a mom just says, you know what, I just want to, or a woman wants a kid on her own, she just goes and gets that donation. Fine. But what about it when it's used on?
So it says here, the only time a sperm donor would have any type of legal right to a child conceived through his donation would be through a private contract in which the father could sue for visitation and custodial rights, and the mother could sue for child support. So it can't happen I'm assuming with IVF facilities.
How do you?
That's crazy.
I mean, I don't know. This is a lot. I mean, I think with that one, it'd be a little bit more closer because it may just be you and your friend, and they're like, I don't know, my best friend is gay and I want his sperm, you know what I mean, type of thing.
And then he wants to have, he's like, hey, let's do visitation rights. Let me be the father.
Now, would he be part of the child's father if you marry with somebody and have that person around that's just as a family member, or do you really tell them like, hey, this is your father, this is your stepdad, or however you want to name them?
I don't think I would want that around. I don't think I would want that complication around.
But you have an agreement.
Right, but I don't think then I wouldn't do that agreement. Because what if it happens where I don't think I it's hard. If I put myself in that position and then I wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't do it.
I mean, that is definitely our thoughts, right? I don't see myself doing it either, but people do it, and it's one of those things is how do they I want to say maybe they're more mature and adult than me. You really have to be at a certain maturity level to just kind of sit down with somebody and be like, look, I want your sperm. This is how it's going to work. This is how it's going to go. Are you in or not?
Right. It's really that simple, though.
It really is, but it's kind of hard to find somebody who you can trust.
Yeah.
To respect those clauses in the, you know what I mean? Like that that at the end, and then the same thing too is like, what happens if something happens to you? Obviously, this person's going to be in the kid's life, so will they take over?
What if the man shoots blanks and the wife goes out her way and gets pregnant without letting the man know and letting him believe it's his? Eek. See, that's a conversation that needs to be had. You can't do that. Like, first of all, you don't know he's shooting blanks unless you go to get tested in the doctor, right?
That part.
And to find out what's going on and why it hasn't been working. If he's shooting blanks, you find out. And then she all of a sudden becomes pregnant. How do you not know?
This is actually getting a little too familiar for me right now.
Please share.
Story time.
time.
So I was with somebody, right? And we spoke about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
We believed that it wasn't happening because of him. Clearly, I have 2 kids, right? So,
Okay.
right. But a lot goes in a woman's body too. Changes, hormones, everything, even your weight, everything just takes a factor into that.
Right,
So
right.
we both, after trying, right, we were just like, it's not happening. Like, we're gonna do this, do that. We started taking vitamins, like literally, like same thing, right? Process, because it was that type of relationship. And then broke up. Obviously, things that went south, right? So that's just what. Hey, yo, we're not at the studio today. We can't do the little buttons.
Right.
But here's the thing. Time forward, the person they're with now got pregnant.
But it didn't work. So how is the person pregnant if it wasn't working? Wait, did he actually get tested to know that it's blank? She's shooting blanks. It's not working, or did he not get tested?
I don't know, because that's kind of like where we were in that process when we were gonna do that.
Okay.
We were both gonna go to the doctor, right? So we were both kind of like on that type of journey, like, okay, this is something that we would want, right? So let's go ahead and try and see if we can make it happen. That's where it ended. So again, fast forward, it's one of those things where it's like I'm sitting in the back reading this, like,
how is he having a baby now? And he couldn't before, if it's even his.
And that is the question. I'm just saying.
That is the question. That's a great question. No, first of all, that's grimy. I think women who do that deserve to get stabbed. I don't know why that was the first reaction, but I think that is definitely not a cool thing to do. But if I knew I was sterile, my seeds don't work. Mm-hmm. I'm questioning it.
Right.
Unless he really, really wanted a kid and decides to be ignorant. I mean, that's a choice some people make too.
That is a choice too. To each their own. That's all I can say.
Oh.
And so it does happen, and to each their own.
I don't know. So yeah.
I think I would probably try and take some alternative routes, but here it would lead us to this, right? Where we can run this.
For me, it would be foster adoption. I don't think I would ever do in vitro fertilization, sperm donor, or if I really, really wanted a kid and we couldn't conceive naturally, then adoption or foster child would be the best bet. Give a child a home.
And then, okay, so let's say your partner is like, you know what? It's me.
Okay.
It's me. So it's not you. What if we had like a friend or like a close, somebody that we know and trust, and him trying to persuade you on it?
I don't want that, because that's a I can see how that could end up being a much bigger problem much later. Because then I would, my thing, the conversation that I would have would be, no, how about we give a poor child a home and let's look at things that can work for us. That way we both, if you can't have it, then I can't have it, and let's do this together type thing. That's how I think about that.
There's that alternative as a couple together. Now let's say, what if you did adopt and kind of like the same twin story thing happened to you? How would you feel about that?
I wouldn't feel away. I mean, it's not. I can't control that. I probably wouldn't pick someone who's a twin though, because I can't handle two, and I wouldn't want to split them up.
Now, I think that should be disclosed.
I think it should be disclosed. I don't know if it is though, and
I don't know.
it can vary. That's a good question. I have no idea if it is.
Yeah, me either.
But if he's shooting blanks, then we both got blanks. Like there's nothing. There's nothing to discuss there, really. Honestly, I think that if it's necessary, we can work on building with just someone who needs it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Was that your cat?
What happened?
I said, was that your cat?
Oh, you heard him? Yeah, no, that was definitely Simba having a hissy fit with his own tail.
No, right. Damn, tail always gets in the way.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, what else we had about this one?
I think we ran a lot through it, especially with the states. That was shocking for me.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised with the top ones though. I'm gonna be honest.
Not as much, but the fact that it's
I'm surprised it's not a federal law, or it's not something
that's
that
actually taken note of.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah,
like they know it existing, so it's like, oh, let's just keep track of it. And again, these are numbers that they just know because those are the ones who actually know.
Yeah.
And okay, so do you think with these numbers, are they that they know or they find out?
Which numbers?
They know incest, where they know that they're long cousins or whatever. They're just like, no, it's just
I think from what's reporting, it's known. Although I'm sure it's a lot more of the people who don't know or just don't talk about it. They don't want people to know. I'm sure in those smaller towns, I'm sure in those southeastern regions, states, it's more common than
because those were the high ones.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, when you say Florida, I mean, I think a lot of cases that could happen in so many different ways.
Right.
So it's not really like this type of doctor where he's purposely right, but he's, I don't, there's a lot.
I mean, I think that because Florida's a big state. Florida's a big state, and if we're thinking about just the cities, it probably doesn't happen as often. But the smaller towns outside of the cities and things of that nature, I'm sure.
Maybe more of the northern area.
I don't know Florida that well. Mm-hmm. So don't ask me.
Well, the northern one would connect to Georgia, which was one of the states.
Let me look at a map because it's not. I don't want to say something that sounds silly because I don't know geography.
Well, it's Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. And
I don't know the East Coast as well as I should. Okay, thank you. Yeah, you're right. Also, Alabama is is north of Florida.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Those are the top.
Arkansas, states. Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida. All right next to each other.
Yeah, they're.
Yeah, no. I don't know. So how far removed cousin is it acceptable for you?
I mean,
what if it's fourth, fifth cousin of a cousin and cousin? That sounded stupid, but you know what I mean.
I mean, I have those cousins, right? And I have them, and the thing is, I know them, and it's we just call each other cousins.
Right.
One of my cousins, but just because they're older, I call him aunt. You know, like it's one of those things where it's, well, at least I think I know my family, right? So it's like anybody that's in a close proximity, they're cousins immediately, whether they're once removed, 1,000 times removed from my great aunties. I don't know, right? You know, it's just a cousin. So I don't, this first cousin, second cousin, that was all new to me. I was like, oh, you guys split them up. Oh, we just know, you know, Tia Berta has 5, you know. we know how many each one has. That's all we know. But
see, the thing is it's the knowing is the difference. The concern is more about when you don't know.
You don't know. I would say no. Like, I couldn't do it. I couldn't. Just the thought that we have, just that small chance of somewhat sharing some sort of percentage of DNA, and we know this.
Some people, I mean, aren't we all just related in one way or another?
Then there's that.
I mean, thanks to the Europeans who decided to pick people out of everywhere and put them somewhere else, we're all related in one way or another.
In that, I mean, that's where I think it's just, you know.
Yeah.
Just, I think what I would do as an advice now, moving forward, I'm just going to start questioning your whole family tree.
I think the conversation needs to be had now. Now, after seeing this, I probably will be very particular on who or what I date. Probably will stay away from certain names, or because you don't really think about it until that's put in front of you. Like,
oh, you're Rodriguez too.
What's your mom's last name? What about any other sibling? Like you, I want to know your family tree a little. Let's talk about that real quick.
Be like, yo, this chick is tripping. She's gonna stalk me on Facebook.
And then with Spanish people, you got like names like Hernandez and
most common
Dominguez. Like there's a bunch of common ass names.
You even said that last name. Like, oh my goodness, yes, they're common.
Yeah,
they're common, and it's one of those things where it's like, we must be related type of thing. At least, you know, like my last name is not as common. So if you were to have my last name, I'd look at you kind of funny, like, bro. And there was somebody with the same last name in high school. But, I mean,
they could be related. Could be a distant cousin.
Bruh. Bruh. Hold on. No, I don't think.
Probably.
I mean, you never know, but I'm just saying, like, it was the funny part was just, it was kind of like that type of like, oh, because we got the same last name type of shit. But I mean, who knows? Who knows? I mean, I never really thought about it until right now.
Yeah, I think to pull away from this is get STD tested, get HIV tested, and get ancestry tested.
Get a DNA test. That should be your top 3 credentials you should carry with you at all times.
Right. Like, this is who I have in my family. Are you related to any of these?
I mean, it's I mean, I won't have that problem. I'm just saying.
Right.
I'm just saying, it's one of those things that
I get it. I wouldn't either.
Right. I would, you know what though? I feel like I would feel a connection with the person, maybe.
No, you won't.
I mean,
that's how do you feel? You can feel a connection with your best friend. You can feel a connection with anyone.
I mean,
you don't know the connection of a family member.
There's some, no, and I've heard this that some couples look alike.
Right? I've heard that. I've seen that.
That's the questionable ones. That's where I'd be
not
like, if
all
me
of them
and
are
my
questionable.
guy
That's
resemble each other, we getting it checked out first, my guy. Like we cannot proceed until we clarify that we are not related to maybe potentially have something that could work. I mean, we don't even know if it's gonna work, but that is just a risk that you have to like be willing to go through with a person and just say, you know what, fine, let's do this. And then come to find out you guys are Gucci, cool.
yeah, there's no way.
But if
There's
not, then I mean, definitely at least you skip that, right? Because again, to me, it's just more of the mental thing. It's that mental and an emotional one, because a lot of parents, when they go, you know, through the IVF or through the adoption or through all of these procedures, they go in so hoping, you know, to come out with a child. And then when they do, it's like their whole life obviously changes.
Yeah.
But it's just so like, how do you break
There's so much you leave
hearts
unknown, though. There's so much that you leave unknown.
Like, I don't know. I think with this one, it's a little bit hard. I honestly, I don't think what I would be or how I would react in any of those situations.
I mean, in the early 70s, when people were just starting these fertility searches and things like that, I'm sure there was no regulations on a lot of shit. So there's probably a lot of people out there don't even know that they're related. And yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
I mean, it's again one of those things where we could probably do a lot better if we had rules, laws.
I'm sure there's rules and ethics that have changed since the 70s, and the field has changed. I would hope, anyway.
Hoping,
that's a good question. But in that particular field, I think there are certain things that need to be taken into account, and people need to be held accountable for the senseless actions. And I don't care how old you are, how sick you are, bro. If you did that in the 70s, you deserve to go to jail.
Yeah, and that's the end of the thing. There shouldn't be maybe like a statute of limitation when it comes to that, right? Because at the end of the day, it's not something that you just fucked up for like, oops, 5 days. Like, no, you fucked up.
Right.
How many families? 30-some families? Like, no. Yep. No, you don't get to just walk around and do what you do. Have this freaking like ego that I can do it all and get away with it because nobody's gonna know. And then when they do, exactly, so you can hush money.
It was definitely ego for him. No, oh God, he's a sick bastard though.
Yeah, it's unforgivable for me, honestly, and it's not, and it's, I know it's hard, but it's one of those things. It's like you choose to do this damage day in and day out. Like, it's not a one-off thing where you like fucked up and you're like, oh shit. I mean, obviously that wouldn't even be the situation because you know what you're doing, but it's one of those things where it's not a one-off. Like, you chose to do this with every person you treated. Like, why?
I don't understand.
It's so sad. Like, I guess the biggest thing here with this is, and I don't know if I got it or not. I don't think they said anything like that. I don't remember. But do you think in these situations, I mean, I wouldn't not pass it, where maybe there are instances where they would just end it due to that.
End the relationship?
No, themselves.
What do you mean? It could cause something like that.
I'm saying, like, I don't know if they had anything like that in the documentary, but I'm saying, like, again, pushing it with mental state again, right? It's
yeah.
You know, it's one of those things, you really fuck up somebody's life.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad. And I don't know how he wasn't held accountable. 94 kids. Again, I could probably argue the case with the ones who set out to look for an anonymous sperm donor.
Mm-hmm.
I could argue that case. And once or twice, I guess, right? But the ones that you blatantly lied about and didn't do. Yeah, and that, like, you violated, bro. You violated. And then I don't know how they don't think about the long-term impacts and how this changes everyone else going forward.
You know, it would have been.
It was like different times, I guess.
Yeah, no, definitely. And again, one of those things where the mentality back in the days was exactly this. You know, and it's very unfortunate that this is the outcome of that mindset.
Yeah. Yeah. Disgusting assholes.
Doesn't make it any better. You're just ruining your own people, I guess, per se.
Yeah. Yeah. That was one of the things they pointed out in the documentary as far as like this race thing and how he's trying to keep the population and they were afraid of being diluted and all this disgusting crap that I don't want to give too much mind to, but it's just sick. It's sick. It's sick. Yeah.
It is sick. And in this, like I said, the timing of everything was just very, for his sake, the best thing to do.
Right. Well, for the ones that are watching and people who are listening and who end up watching back, guys, Our Father on Netflix, story of a doctor who used his own specimen of semen to inseminate women in supposedly a fertility clinic. Fathered over 90 kids, and and people unknowingly marrying distant cousins or siblings and having children with them, and that unknowing incest and that happens in our country that is crazy, and people need to take responsibility of their children to avoid that going forward. But yeah,
there should be a limit of how many times you can donate.
There is a limit of how many times you can donate, but like we just saw the article,
that's where you come up with your fake
just change his name and change his profile and act like he was someone different, then go to another clinic. Like, if you're not in the database with one name, you don't need to show up in another name, and that it's crazy. How do you control that? That's why I say I wouldn't, if I had issues with conceiving, infertility issues, or what my partner did, I probably wouldn't go that route, thanks to seeing this.
Yeah. No, I mean, this definitely is an eye-opener for anybody out there, you know, thinking of doing this. We would want to know, just because there is, I guess, this risk of a possibility. Yeah. Right? Whether I would encourage
adoption or foster care. Give a child a home.
Yeah. And, you know, it's, again, back to the mental state.
I know.
It's one of those things that with a lot of women, you know, some women that still want to go through the whole process of being pregnant and feeling the baby and all that stuff.
I get it. I don't know why.
I mean,
for me, I guess, I mean, I know you've experienced it and it's a wonderful thing and I'm sure it's great. But I'm like, that doesn't sound fun. Like, I saw this video in high school of the child coming out of the vagina in biology class. And that ruined me for life. It's like, oh, I have no intention on ever doing that. It's disgusting. I think I think that's what you need to show everyone before they have kids, before they have sex. What happens when the child comes out of a vagina? Like, you got to see that head and everything.
But
that whole process is just, that's a great deterrent.
Okay, so some women don't want to do vaginal births. So at that point, they'll just be like, oh, I want a C-section.
Which is more dangerous. Anyways, so we're getting off topic, but yeah, Daniel the Great, thank you for joining us, commenting. Appreciate you. Anna, I hope you feel better, and we'll see her next week, of course. You go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, thank you, Daniel, for tuning in, because he's actually on a trip. He's actually far away right now, so thank you, and feel better too, because he got sick.
Oh,
yeah. So Tashi, Daniel, feel better.
Right. We will be coming back next week, every Saturday, of course, 6 p.m. Eastern. Next week, we got an interesting, spicy topic where it's titled Writing Six Flags. And it's more about identifying red flags and what we ignore and blatant
what
red
do we
flags.
oversee?
Right. And people who see the red flags and just hop on that ride anyway. So that should be interesting, right?
Throw your hands up in the air.
Just go in, right? Enjoy the ride. Jesus Christ.
Yes, next one's gonna be fun. Interesting.
Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty.
All right.
Anything else you want to say?
No, that is all. I mean, I know this topic was just different. It was a little difficult because it's not something that we're just like, oh yeah, personal opinion type of thing. Like, no, this really happens.
Right. Thanks, ladies. And doing better have meds. Meds now. Okay. Yeah. Good.
But yeah, no, it's uncomfortable, I guess, but it's something that also needs awareness to it. You know, it's something that needs to be talked about, something that needs to be pointed out, because again, a lot of families are going with these hopes and are given false, empty promises because they believe they got what they went for and they come out completely with something different. So to all you doctors out there, don't play. Don't do that.
What's crazy is I know there's like thousands more, right? There's only 331 reported cases. And this is of a generation of adults now testing, doing the Ancestry, the 23andMe, and all of these things now, right? Of a time frame when it was a booming industry in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
The industry has changed quite a bit, but I'm sure it's still going on where there are those things that are happening. And those children, when they get old, it's not going to stop. It's just going to get worse unless something happens to regulate that. So I'm sure there's a lot more we don't know about, and that's only because people don't check.
Right. I mean, definitely something that, and I hope, within those times too, with all these stories coming out, things have changed. There has been, maybe new rules and protocols or type of ways to make this change, but it's sad. Just don't play with people's emotions and their families, because that's just not something that is nice to do. That's very evil.
Facts.
But yeah, on that note, we are good. I mean,
off topic, but y'all got any merch? Saw someone with a nice hoodie with y'all logo. Did you wear the hoodie?
I did.
Oh, yes.
Yes, I did. And
we do have merch. We can get the merch. You got to email us if you're interested. I would have to go over like sizing and shipping and stuff and get you a price if you want to purchase. So that'd be awesome. Yes. I'm waiting to wear my hoodie for when I go into the studio with Anna.
I think that should be a good idea.
Yeah.
We should say that one.
It's really awesome. The embroidered. Oh, shout out to Dear Anxiety Embroidery.
She's
Daniel,
awesome.
if you're looking to see where we got it custom made, Dear Anxiety Embroidery digitized our logo, got it set up, and did our custom logo embroidered on hoodies. So it was freaking awesome. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, she was awesome. And yeah, she has I mean, to me, like when I got it, I like really looked at my mom and was like, "Look, I was like, this is so nice!" Like,
Isn't it? I love it.
yes,
I love it. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Good,
Yeah.
good. I'll let her know. So this has been another episode of T.E.A.V, and thank you guys for joining. Feel free to reach out to us via email, tv112845@gmail. It's in the subject. I'm going to post it up on there in the description. Tune in next week to Riding Six Flags and see you guys.
We want to hear all the stories.
We want to hear all those red flags.
I mean, because you know what? We all need to know.
Right.
What more is there out there that we don't
I'm going to make a list of all the red flags that are no-goes and all the red flags that I would probably
overlook. Look, some of them are acceptable, you know. One of the key things, and I know, you know, we tend to be fair.
Save it for next week. Save it for next week. We'll save it for next week. Okay. So this is. I totally fumbled. So as always, stay logically valid. Be a Mac.
My name is Eva the Diva, and as always, thank y'all for watching, for listening to us. You can always catch us on YouTube. What are the other ones? We have Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and our Instagram, our YouTube channel. So just click it, like, subscribe, follow. We'll follow back. So yeah, there's a lot of new stuff coming in too. So Daniel, you may be in luck. But yeah, that is all, guys.
All right. Good night, guys.
Bye.
Bye.